Okay.
We're live.
Can you see us up there?
Oh, gotta fix you guys up there.
Good to see everyone. Thanks for tuning in today. It's a lovely Colorado evening, as always. Okay. So, before we actually, just while we let everyone, tune in, get live with us. First question I wanted to ask is if anyone, I don't know if you've realized my kind of gnarly beard I got going on. Sorry, this is a weird background. Okay, we got this cool beard going on over here, and I wanted to ask everyone, you guys, just be honest and tell me. I thought it might be one of three. I might look like one of three things. So just be honest. On Facebook, please let us know as well. What you're thinking. Do I look more like one of the three following things? Then I'm going to ask my wife also. And it's not part of the almost newlywed game. Do I look more like a middle-aged man whose ship capsized and has been stranded on a desert island for 6 months? That's option number one. Do I look like a gnarly hipster? Option number two. Or do I look like a Hasidic wannabe Rebbe? Which of those? And be honest, I can take it. Shavuos is coming soon. I will likely get a legit haircut and a little shave. So, number two, B and C, gnarly hipster or Hasidic wannabe Rebbe. No one says I look like a. No one is saying that I look like a stranded desert island capsized guy. Should we just get rid of that? Okay, now we're good. So, okay, I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. I'm going for a combination of those looks, the hipster / Hasidic wannabe Rebbe guy. So I do appreciate that motion, Ricky. Okay, so we want to talk about tonight. I don't know if who's aware of this or not, but we have very exciting time that we're approaching. Thursday night will become the holiday of Shavuos. And in the section of the week segment, actually, and we're going to make this go,
nice.
On the bottom.
Okay.
The question of the week we got from what was the name? Who asked this question?
Melvin from Montreal.
Melvin from Montreal. Melvin asks us, and conveniently our question askers, their name always, it goes hand in hand with, the name goes hand in hand with where they're from. So that's a convenient thing that has gone our way. The question is, Rabbi, I heard there's a Jewish holiday this week. What's the story? Can you tell us a little bit more about it? Thank you, Melvin, for asking. That's a great question. And in fact, you are correct.
And we'll take your questions too. Whenever you have questions, send them in to us and we'll add them to our list that we have going of questions that we've received. Yes,
exactly. It's a very large list, but please ask your questions. Email them in www.liveatthebunker.net. Just dwolf@thej.com. Just email in your questions. Fine. So, what is this holiday coming up? What is this holiday? So the holiday is. You keep fading out on the Zoom. Do you want to just get rid of the virtual background? Yeah. Okay. Sorry. The holiday is Shavuos, and just want to give a brief summary, and then we'll get to the meat and potatoes of the show. We have some very special guests from the Humans of Jew Pro component, and this holiday of Shavuos is actually it's a holiday that since the second Seder, the night of the second Seder, since Passover, we've been counting up 49 days. All the way until this monumental moment in time, the holiday of Shavuos, the 50th day, in which we celebrate God giving the Torah to over 3 million men, women, and children. So we celebrate the giving of our holy Torah, and God revealed himself to the entire Jewish nation. And that's what we're pumped up and excited about, that we celebrate Thursday night. That, it's one of the three classic holidays that we think about. You have Sukkot, you have Pesach, and you have Sukkot, you have Pesach, and you have Shavuos. The sages teach us that when God was ready to give us the Torah, we were sleeping in. So that's not so good, right? The king is trying to talk to you, trying to, he's ready to give you this treasure of the Torah, and you're caught sleeping. You have a meeting with the mayor to discuss the lack of salting the streets problem, and you sleep through the meeting.
Sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, it is like I wake up in cold sweats about that nightmare, that nightmarish possibility. It's not something that we would like to happen, and that's what happened. They just slept in through this important moment in time. And so to make up for that, there's a custom, an age-old custom, that we stay up all night. We stay up the entire night, and we study Torah on Thursday night, on Shavuos night. And usually,
I'm getting tired just thinking about it.
Yeah, and hopefully you'll join us. Usually that's done in synagogue or in some sort of community center, and they bring out dishes throughout the night. Large copious amounts of caffeine, and that's usually how it works. This year, obviously, with social distancing, that will not be the case for most places, and we'll be staying up in our own homes. And that's kind of the deal for this year. We stay up all night. We study. I have a nice evening planned with my 11-year-old of Rami. We're going to just like steig, as we say in Yiddish, just learn hard all night until 5, 6 in the morning. So
show our plan.
Yes.
This is our menu that I made for the whole Shavuos. So it's 2 days. It's fading out on Zoom. Yeah. It's 2 days, and there's just a lot of food to be eaten and a lot of dairy. And you see we scheduled it, I think, every hour and 15 minutes. We have something else. So here first we have pizza at 10:30, 11:45 is ice cream bar and cinnamon buns. At 1 o'clock is cheesecake and popcorn. Then we have corn dogs and fruit. And then at 3:30, we'll do hot cocoa and cookies. That's assuming that there's someone still awake. If not, then obviously we'll skip that one. But we just want to make it really exciting and fun.
Yeah. I can't wait. I've been saving up for this night. It is an enjoyable evening. A lot of great food, vegetarian's dream, and we'll get more into that soon. But so as mentioned, that typically this is done in a community center. Last year, Jew Pro, we partnered with Moshe and others, and we were in the Den, and we were in Vail. And again, this year, not to be. We're all in our own homes, and that's how it will work this year. Interestingly, like I said, there are classes typically all night. And I remember actually one year when we lived in Albany, a couple of years back, I was speaking at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. about happiness. And I remember we were having a meal, and I started walking, and I felt this like horrific humidity as I was walking. And it was just a gross like humidity. Thank God we live in Colorado. Like I thank God every day for that. That's just such a blessing. I'm sorry, Benjamin. I know you don't, but you can. We'd love to have you move over here. I know Moshe would like that. So would I. But in Colorado, we don't have this humidity. In Albany, we did. And I was walking down to Shul.
How long was the walk?
40 minutes. 40-minute walk. 30 minutes in, we're passing St. Peter's Hospital. And I'm like, I know the whole time, like at some point, the clouds are just going to open up and it is going to just downpour. And sure enough, just as I predicted, 10 minutes left in my walk, the heavens opened up, and man, did it rain. It poured like I've never seen maybe in my whole life. And I walk into Shul at like 1 a.m. and there's a rabbi there who's now a rabbi. He was a youth director at the time. He looks at me and he says, it looks like you just like jumped in a swimming pool. Like, wow. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I'm going to be here now for
Sam.
6. I'm going to be here now for 7 hours, and I'm soaking wet, and this is miserable. And I was very upset. And sure enough, the guy who was like 4 sizes smaller than me, had an apartment in the synagogue, and he lent me his shirt and his pants, and it was obscene. It was obscene looking, but it was dry clothing, and I happily took it. I was very excited and overjoyed to wear the dry clothing. And every day when we pray, we actually thank God for having clothing. And that kind of reshaped that prayer for me, having clothing. So that was one of my Shavuos like horror stories, but it was very nice. Meals and desserts brought out all night. That's the first custom of Shavuos, is again, because we slept in, we stay up all night, we study Torah. There's another custom, however, also, which again, as vegetarians, we love. Sorry to all you vegans out there, but for the vegetarians among us, there's a custom to eat dairy foods, to have dairy foods. Why? Why do we have dairy foods? So by dairy foods, I mean like dairy foods, like ice cream. I'm talking, ice cream and cheesecake and lasagna and Mama's mac and cheese and all sorts of goodies. That's what I'm talking about. And there's a couple reasons for this. One reason why we eat dairy foods is that when we received the Torah, so suddenly we're all obligated in laws of kashrus and laws of slaughtering animals. And we didn't know how to do it. We couldn't do that in time for the meal. So we're like, okay, let's just settle for lasagna tonight. And that's what happens. So that's why we have dairy. Other reason is that the Torah tells us in Shir HaShirim, Song of Songs, the Torah drips from your lips like honey and milk under your tongue. The Torah, which was given on Shavuos, is compared to honey and milk. I saw elsewhere there is a custom to have honey as well as part of your meal. And you shared already how we're going to achieve all that milk goodness, right? You did.
Pizza, ice cream, cheesecake.
Amazing.
The hot dogs, by the way, the corn dogs are faked. They're Morningstar.
Morningstar kosher corn dogs. It's a good deal. Okay. Finally, will be the word milk in Hebrew is chalav, ches lamed bez, or chet lamed vet. That would be 8 plus 30 is 38 plus 2 is 40. 40. What was 40? The 40 days Moshe stood on Mount Sinai receiving I see Moshe in the Zoom wrote 40. He's good at math. That is amazing. He's a brilliant math guy. See, we got some comments as well. Maybe we can post them. Oh, nice. We got some. Okay. I'm a little late here, but Shira said, good job, Melvin, on the question.
Hey, Shira. Hey, Mark.
Hey, Shira and Mark. We're bringing up the comments now so we can see everyone. Mark, what up? Good to see you. I miss you, man. Come back for Shabbos and sing Hasidic Zmiros with me. I miss you. Can't do that yet, but as soon as we can, I need you. Okay. Anyway, sorry, I digress. But Chalav is 40. Moshe was on the mountain for 40 days receiving the Torah. And that's perhaps another reason we have dairy. Feel free to post in the chat your favorite dairy foods. We're always trying to expand the menu. And if you have any ideas, any of you foodies out there, I would appreciate any and all ideas. Again, I'm going to kind of just let it go for 24 hours, the first day of Shavuos. And the first day of Shavuos, I'm going to just let go and just consume the dairy. I can't wait. It's just like it's like my dream. Yes. We do have some of that, Todd. Todd suggests Alfredo pasta. Thank you. We have some of that coming. There's an amazing chef in town, Chef YD. I don't know if he's probably not watching, but he is hooking that up, and we're getting some Alfredo pasta for the first night. So that is in the menu. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah. As all the groceries have been coming in, like things I don't normally buy. M&M's, hot fudge sauce, tradition soup, all these foods, and our 2-year-old's been very excited. Whoa, there's this and there's this and there's this and everything. I just say it's for Shavuos. It's for Shavuos. I put it away. It's for Shavuos. So she asked me tonight. She says, "Mommy, you're excited for Shavuos?" And I said, "Yeah, you excited?" She said, "Because as a 2-year-old, you don't understand all of this yet, but you see how they say how geschmack, how great it is, and make it sweet, and it's really special to be able to do that." So
beautiful. I love it. And yeah, we went on our first Trader Joe run in like 3 months and made it count. Made it count.
Oh, yes.
They don't do deliveries or pickups. So when you go, you mask up and you just make it count. It's like, I felt like it was probably, I didn't go, Sarah went, but I imagine it was like that TV show when we were kids. You have the grocery cart and just like the supermarket suite. You just put it all in. I want all of it. And that's shout out to Trader Joe's. Gotta love the Trader Joe's.
I feel like in the old days when I used to go to Trader Joe's, it was supermarket sweep, and I would fill my cart. But now, after 2 months of not going, and who knows when I'm going to go next, it was like I was holding the soap and this and that, and things were falling.
Wild.
But you do what you got to do, right?
Yeah, I missed that place. I'm glad you went instead of me. Yeah. I would have gotten even more. Okay. So yeah, please thank you again, Todd, for that idea. If anyone has other ideas on the geschmack delicious dairy foods, let us know. And then just 2 other aspects of Shavuos, and we're going to turn it over to the next segment of tonight. In Israel, there's actually a custom. It's very beautiful. In 1967, shortly after we regained Jerusalem and had access for the first time in 19 years to the Temple Mount, so Shavuos fell right after the war, and the Jews were just overwhelmed with joy at the ability to march to the wall, to the Western Wall, and to pray there as a community. And happened to be in that year, 1967, there were over 200,000 Jews who marched and paraded through the wall and to the wall, and they prayed there, in harmony all together. And ever since then, there's been a custom. Ever since then, there's been a custom to to go to the Western Wall on Shavuos night. I had the privilege to do that when Sarah and I were in our gap year. I was at Hebrew U, and I actually, my buddy and I studied there in front of the wall, front row seats all night. We had a late dinner. We walked early before the rush, and it was very holy. It felt like I was able to dial into what it must have been like when the temple stood. And it's a pilgrimage holiday. Everyone is marching in, and I connected to it. I felt like that must have been what it was like. And then I was interrupted by a bird pooping on my head. A bird pooped on my head, and I remembered it was like God telling me, what? It's nice we're in Israel. It's nice we have Jerusalem on the wall, but unfortunately, it's not quite there yet, right? We don't have the temple. We're not where we're meant to be at this point, and that was a little wake-up call, but it was a very special moment that I'll never forget. Finally, on Shavuos, and this will help us segue to the next segment, as part of Shavuos, we read the incredible story of Ruth, the story of Ruth, the amazing woman, beautiful story. I encourage you to read it. But long story short, she was a woman who converted to Judaism, stuck by her mother-in-law's side. That was my mama's posted here.
We'll bring you Nash.
My mama, shout out. She's going to cook for me. So thank you, Mama. God bless. I'm glad you're watching. We're so excited
for your math.
And we can't wait. We're so excited. So thank you for that, Mama. Anyway.
Can I tell the story really quick?
Yes.
Megillus Rus?
Yes.
Okay,
please.
so Megillus Rus is actually a really cool book to be able to read. It's just a fascinating story. It starts off with Elimelech, who was very rich, smart, great, a tzaddik, righteous person. And there was a famine in Israel, and he takes his family and they move out of Israel to Moab. He's sick of poor people coming and knocking on the door.
And Moshe points out, by the way, it's only 4 chapters. So unlike Koheles, which is like a long one, like this is a nice short read. So you should all read it. But yeah
cool story. So they leave. They go out because they don't want it's a famine and they don't want to give everything away and they'll have nothing left. So they just leave, all the Jewish people. And you think when you hear it, like the whole Megillah, the whole story is going to be about Elimelech as the main character. But what happens? He brings his family, his wife, and 2 sons to the land of Moab, and he dies. And then his sons die. Is that okay? I'm giving away the story?
Please.
I feel like I'm giving away the end of the novel before we get there. He dies, and then his sons die. Oh, wait, but before they die, they marry Moabite women. They're actually princesses. And then the sons die. And then what happens is Ruth is like Naomi, Elimelech's wife, is like, I have nothing left. I may as well just go back to my people. Everyone else left me. Like, I'm here. So what does she do? It's very cool. Like, she's like she lost everything, and she's almost in a state of desperation and despair. And what does she do? She gets up. She doesn't just stay down. She gets up and she goes. She goes back to Israel, and she comes back, and she's almost objectified. She is objectified. Oh, is this what happens to Naomi, that she doesn't even have shoes on her feet? Her feet are bleeding from traveling. But her daughter-in-laws, who remains alive with her, they said, Naomi, wait, you can't go without us. We want to come with you. They loved her so much. So she tried to convince them not to. And one of them actually did go back and stayed in Moab. But the other one, Russ, came with her. And she said, wherever you go, I will go. And there they went. So they went to Moab, and they went back to Israel. It's just a crazy story how they're searching for weed, and she gets remarried, and just the whole thing. There's so much, there's so many details in it, but just one theme that I love that you can just think about and look for as you read is the whole thing starts because Elimelech didn't want to do chesed. He was sick of doing chesed and giving, and so he left. And then what happens? This whole tragedy befalls the family, and in the end, you'll see it all works out. But it works out after so much hardship and so much pain that I don't know if it had to be there or not. This is what happened, but it's almost like it's very relatable. It's like the story of our lives in a way that, like, we make a mistake, and then we have to, go through some things to be able to fix that mistake. And it's just a very cool, fascinating story. So it's a good read for Shavuos.
Very, very powerful. Very powerful, special text. And, as Sarah mentioned, that Rus mentions at some point, like, your people are my people. Wherever you go, I will go. Where you sleep, I will sleep.
Your God is my God.
Your God is my, exactly. Looks like we're freezing again. Okay. Fine. So
I think about that. It's a thing in Denver. People go to.
We go to Moab. We go to Moab here in Denver. Okay. So the reason, there's actually two reasons that Rus is read on Shavuos. One of which is that King David actually descends from her, right? So from a Moabite princess, a convert, the kingdom of Israel, the kingdom of Judah emanates from. Very powerful. And King David actually was born and died on Shavuos Day. So that's one reason. Another reason is that Ruth embodies what it means to accept the Torah for oneself. She accepted a life of Torah. And that's something that we all try to do. Even if we're born into the religion, we try to accept the Torah, think what that means for us, and to, see how we can integrate its brilliance and wisdom into our lives. So with that, we're going to transition into the next, segment. Thank you again, Melvin from Montreal, for that brilliant question. I appreciate that very much. And now, just to transition for a moment to this idea of acceptance of the Torah and a personal acceptance of the Torah. The way that we thought we'd structure the rest of the evening would be that, both Sarah and I had our own journey and our own acceptance of the Torah in our own way, and we wanted to share that with you. And then we have incredible humans of Jupiter, we're going to call on Adam and Sophie, have their own journeys, and then we will soundly defeat them in the almost newlywed game. So I see they're shaking their heads. They're in they're in what's it called, the waiting room right now. The backstage, you're backstage. I can see them, and they're shaking their heads. So a little banter, little trash talk is all good fun. So let's get on with it. I just wanted to briefly share my own journey and my own kind of Ruth moment. When I decided, to pursue this lifestyle, and I grew up. I'm sure, as many of you know, I grew up just an incredible home, and I grew up traditionally having, we attended synagogue. We drove to synagogue every Saturday. We would have every Friday night to Friday night meal. I went to an amazing, Jewish day school, pluralistic Jewish day school, and it was just a very awesome.
Hi, Kathy.
Hey, your cousin Kathy, how are you?
Upbringing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I had an incredible upbringing, and it was amazing. And I was kind of your like traditional-ish, type of guy. Definitely not observant, definitely not like orthodox, and didn't really plan on ever going in that direction. When I was in, I believe I was 12 years old. Must have been around 6th grade-ish, give or take. My parents had the brilliant idea to send myself, 12-year-old me, 9-year-old younger sister Jessie, and older brother Yoshua, then known as Josh, and sent us on an airplane to Israel to visit Uncle Herb. Uncle Herb, I don't think you're probably watching, but if you are, you should be. If you're not, you should be. And if you are, hello. But Uncle showed us, he opened up his home, him and Aunt Susie, and they opened their home for us and took care of us. And, they're what you would call, I would say, dati lu'umi. They're observant, religious, religious Zionists. That's the term I was looking for. And they basically said, while you're in our home, you're gonna keep kosher. You're gonna kind of get a sense of like the full Shabbos experience and all that good stuff. So we spent I think it was 2 or 3 weeks there. It was really amazing. And we fly back to Chicago O'Hare from Tel Aviv. And, my sister and I, we run, to the first, non-kosher pizza that we can possibly find after 3 weeks of Israeli pizza. And my older bro is like, nope, sorry, I'm kosher now. Like, okay, yeah, whatever, whatever, crazy. Like, okay, it's a stage. You're a teenager, whatever. And we thought that it would pass. And, it never actually did. It never passed. I was not happy about this. I referred to my brother, my bar mitzvah was coming, and I forbade him from wearing his black hat to my bar mitzvah. I called him the Mad Hatter. And I eventually came around and let him wear it, but I was not so excited about this. And then I was interviewed by an author from Boulder who wrote a book called Paper Plates When Part of Your Family Keeps Kosher. And I was the family member who did not keep kosher. And I had a golden line in there. I had a couple golden lines. You can look it up. It's probably on Amazon. One of my great lines was, at first I was mad because now we couldn't have Pizza Hut anymore in the house. And I was very upset. So that was my great line. Okay, so I was not happy about all this. Now, fast forward, a couple years. I'm in ninth grade, and I promised myself I would never kind of pursue this path of observance. And due to that's for my brother, it's not for me. And what happened was, I wanted to. A good buddy of mine was involved. His father ran NCSY, and I was invited to come on this trip called Yarchei Kala to. I think we spoke about this maybe the first time we did live from the bunker, but so I'll keep it short. Just this gross town in New Jersey, and they started. They really hit us with incredible talks and lectures, and they spoke about stuff I never thought about. Right, so I was certainly never an atheist. But I never bothered to think about it because I was kind of happy with my life. I hung out by the pool all summer. I excelled in many sports as well, and I never thought about these things like religion, spirituality. It's just I never thought deeply about God, about the Jewish people, about what it meant that He gave us the Torah. I never even thought about it. And suddenly I started thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? This idea of this mass revelation, unlike every other religion, when God gave the entire Jewish people 3 million plus, in one shot, all of us.
Which is what we're celebrating.
It's what we're celebrating, ironically, yeah. So that actually makes a lot of sense to me. And I'm like, well, if that makes sense, then if I believe this, then that has real ramifications for me. I like to think of myself as a truth seeker, and therefore, I need to, kind of think about my life. The Shabbos that we had, the Sabbath experience was incredible. There was a Jewish singer at the time, Shlomi Dax, and he sang everything, and there was a concert, and it was just absolutely incredible. And I was so moved by it was 300 public school kids coming together and celebrating and dialing into something bigger. And it deeply moved me. And I realized on the spot, I love this. I'm inspired by this lifestyle. I love this, and I need to start bringing it into my own life. So after that, I took slow steps towards observance of Shabbos, and eventually, fast forward 6 months, I'm sure I've discussed live from the bunker before about my athletic prowess, but I was starting baseball season, first opening game in the summer, doubleheader at George Washington High School, a block away from my house, and I was catching, and there was a play at the plate. The guy from right field throws him out. I tag him. And the umpire's like, show me the ball. So I show him the ball. He's like, you're out of there. And yeah. And I was so excited. I was so, just pumped up. And then the next pitch, he throws it to me, and the ball pops out of my glove. I call timeout, Blue. Call timeout. We play catch. I can't catch anymore. Take my glove off. It turns purple. And sure enough, I'm done. I went to the hospital, and turns out I fractured my thumb. I was now done for the year of a 30-game summer season that my dad was the coach of. So, yeah, that's not fun coaching. You sign up to coach your kid, and then he gets injured the first game of the year. It was a long season. But thank you, Dad, for doing that anyway. Now, so that kind of for me is I'm ready now. I think I'm going to start keeping Shabbos. And then for me, it was just a slow journey after. I'm for my brother, for him it was very quick. For me, it was very slow. A year later, I remember enjoying my last Chipotle of my life, and enjoyed it, and happy to be done. And now, onto the delicious world of kosher dining. So again, it was just a long journey, and that's kind of mine. Just a brief story of my own personal acceptance of the Torah, which is, again, as someone who's called a Baal Tshuva, as someone who has decided, for a path of observance. I have for the path of observance. Shavuos takes a lot of meaning when I think about Rus and what she did and what she decided for herself, and it's indeed very inspiring. Yeah, so that's it for me.
Okay. I guess each of us on our own journeys in our lives, each one of us has our own journey, and there's so many events that come together that shape who we are, and so many seeds that are planted throughout our life. So I'm just going to share a couple of the many, many experiences and many influences that were on my life. I was actually raised, my home was we also valued Judaism very much, but we were very involved in a reform way. So we went to Temple Emmanuel, and my parents had their own study group there, and that's where I really grew up. That's where I had my bat mitzvah. That's where I went to Sunday school and Saturday school. I think Saturday school was before Sunday school. Then you're older, you go to Sunday school. Anyways, that was my upbringing Jewishly from my parents. And we always had Friday night dinner together. And then we would go Saturday morning, and they had their own study group and minyan with their friends that they ran. They lay led. So that was definitely important in my home. And then I met one of my friends. Maybe I'll have to get her to watch this later, Simone. We met in summer camp when we were really little. And she was Orthodox and I wasn't. But we became really good friends, and we'd spend Shabbos together. And spending those all those Saturdays together really also made a huge impact on me. And got to know her friends from her school, and it just really built that into my life. In addition, my first cousins were also Orthodox, and my aunt and uncle, so we used to go there a lot. So it was nice. It's kind of like it wasn't so foreign. But then I was thinking, like, what really made me decide to go this route? Like, at some point, I was just like, oh, this is what I'm working towards, and I had this picture of what I wanted. But I'm like, when did that really form? And I was trying to think about it. And I think there were some seeds that I never quite identified in this way before. But so I mentioned my first cousins were Orthodox. They are. And so one of them, I'm the youngest. So the next oldest in our family is my cousin Jackie. And love you, Jackie, so much. She's like a sister. So I remember before my bat mitzvah, I had already learned my parsha. I was going to be leading the whole service. And Jackie says to me, she goes, is that really is that really how you want to celebrate your bat mitzvah? And I was like, yeah, like that's what I'm doing. She's like, but is that what you want? And I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, this is what I want. I'm ready to go. It's going to be great. But it kind of like planted that seed in my head that I have a choice in how I would go forward and what I want to do, and that I don't need to just continue going along with what I know, that I should think for myself and be a thinker and make decisions for myself. And Jackie kind of continually, as I was growing up, planted those seeds in my head. Another example of such is when also that same year I was in my gap year, and Danny was at Hebrew U, and for the semester of it. And we went to Jackie for Shabbos and her family. And we had this whole plan, like
a 4-year plan.
Right.
Yeah.
We knew we wanted to get married, and we had this 4-year plan because my parents were like, first you finish college and then you get married. So like I never thought twice about that. Okay, I'll finish college and then we get married. And Jackie's like, are you sure you want to wait 4 years? Or maybe she even said it like, you can't wait 4 years. Like that's not a healthy thing to do at this point. You need to just get married sooner. But it never like occurred to me beforehand that like there was any other option besides the 4-year plan. And at that point, I mean, I was already very much on my journey of growth in Judaism, but those seeds just to think for yourself, I think that really made a big impact on me. So, I mean, there are a lot of little experiences, but those are the other big one that I want to mention is NCSY. Was that Simone and I would go on Shabbatones, and it really became like the bread and butter of my high school years, of the excitement and the fun and just seeing our friends, every month or so and spending Shabbos together. And it was always a really special, beautiful, meaningful experience.
And I think you told me that immersive Shabbos experience also for you was very...
Which? Oh, in general.
In general,
yeah.
Yeah,
I do love Shabbos.
Cool.
Yeah.
So. Okay, so you heard from us. It's now my pleasure and honor to bring onto the show. Let me pull him up here. I'm going to add him to the stream, and we're going to. There it is. A pleasure to welcome Adam, Oliver, and Sophie Brickman to the show. We wish them a mazel tov, newly engaged couple. It's great to see you guys. And welcome to the show. Oh, there it is. Beautiful. Very nice. So this is the Humans of Dupro segment of the show, and I apologize if sometimes we freeze up. We got to figure out the internet piece here, but as we've done in past weeks, we want to take the opportunity to ask you guys some questions and show everyone kind of the face of JUPRO, the humans of JUPRO. Tell us your own journeys, your own stories, and we'll kind of ask you some questions if that's okay with you. Is that cool?
Sounds good.
All right, let's do it.
Probably a delay. Okay, perfect. Amazing. Cool. Excellent. So for starters, Adam, if you wouldn't mind telling us just where you hail from originally and how you grew up, religiously. What was your background, Jewishly growing up?
Yeah, so I grew up in Colorado Springs, and it's nice to be back there. I was living in Israel and came back, so I feel very privileged to be back in Colorado Springs at my mom's kitchen table here. And I grew up with a conservative community. I definitely felt a Jewish connection. I didn't really understand too much of the kind of practice, certainly didn't understand the language enough to do much more than kind of force my way through memorizing a Torah portion at an amazing bar mitzvah. And then after that, as I said with my mom sitting here, I made a lot of promises in my bar mitzvah speech about the mitzvahs I was going to keep and the way I was going to keep Judaism and Torah in my life. And pretty soon after that, things kind of went a different direction. So I went from there too, as we were talking about Moab and Zion, not the ones in Israel, but in Utah for school. And then the journey kind of went from there.
Wow. So you literally was there for school in Utah?
Yeah. I was a competitive swimmer, so I don't think I would have considered Utah other than for that, but had an amazing experience. And maybe there was this piece of when they kept saying Zion that something was resonating, that Pintel Yid within me was resonating. Maybe you should go searching someday. But at that point, there wasn't any kind of inclining of wearing a kippah or finding a very, very nice Jewish girl to marry.
Did you ever take on Michael Phelps?
I swam in the same pool with him once. I think when I was 17, we had some realities that qualified for USA Nationals. It wasn't close, to say the least.
That's awesome. Okay, very cool. And then Sophie, could you tell us a little bit about your own background, where you hail from, a little bit about your upbringing as well?
Sure, absolutely. I hail from Maine. I was born and raised there. And I lived in a very rural place. And so we weren't really, my family wasn't a part of a community, but both my parents are really passionate and excited about Judaism. And so it was always a part of our home life growing up. My mom would kind of do a makeshift Hebrew school for us and would order these workbooks online for us to learn Hebrew. And we would have pretty lively Friday night dinners and seders for Passover. And I also had a meaningful bat mitzvah in which I felt pretty connected, but also didn't have the community around. And so I felt this connection, but didn't exactly know how to sort of actualize it. And then when I went to college at our alma mater at Brandeis, it's a pretty Jewish school. And so very nice. Yeah, I know this. It's great. So I started learning more and more and feeling more connected, and like Adam, made my own journey to Israel to continue learning. And it was sort of a slow and steady uphill climb, learning and taking on more.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And I want to dig deeper a little bit soon into that those journeys. But before I do, just a couple other quick questions so we get to know you better. Can you tell us what you both do professionally? What do you do for a living?
I guess since what I used to do, I don't think I can claim unemployment during this. I've been paycheck free and job free for about 2 years now. So I've been living in Jerusalem and been in yeshiva since January of 2019, and then I was traveling for 6 months before that. But back before all that, I got a degree in finance and was working in commercial banking. So basically, helping big companies get loans to build factories, buy pieces of equipment, things like that in Minnesota.
Cool. Very nice. And how about you, Sophie?
I'm a graduate student here in Colorado Springs, doing my PhD in psychology.
Good for you. Beautiful. Beautiful. And then I'm sure everyone's wondering, can you just tell us, like, how did you meet? Where did you meet? How did that go?
We have a good story.
I mean, technically at, I forget
your Shabbos table.
Our Shabbos table. Wow, very nice.
But to get there was sort of an interesting process too, because the Denver community is very welcoming and had gotten to know both of us, and so we had a few different people that we were close to reach out and connect us. I had one friend who was walking on the way to Shul, someone that I'm really close to and really look up to, and she ran into Adam thinking he was someone else, didn't know who he was, talked for 5 minutes, and then told me, like, you have to meet this guy. And that sort of led us to your table.
Beautiful, beautiful. Love it.
And we feel bad, but don't remember her name. But we sat at the end of the table. So kind of, I was here, Sophie was there, and then there was this nice young woman sitting on the end, and she was like very much caught in the middle of a conversation. That was so. If you're on, sorry, but it all, you're uncomfortable Shabbat from us talking too much. It all worked out.
Beautiful, beautiful.
We're happy to be a part of it.
Amazing. Then before we dig a little bit deeper into, I want to hear more about your own stories again as we approach Shavuos and what motivated your journeys. Could you tell us, for one, what it was like to date during, Adam? I guess you can elaborate, but you came back a bit early from yeshiva for the dating process. Can you tell us what it was like to date during this COVID-19 pandemic? To get to where you are today.
It's really simple.
And for starters, so just a little more backing up of the story. So I as we get into the story, kind of stumbled into yeshiva accidentally last January, and then had spent 6 months in yeshiva, and then was back for the month of August, and that's when Sophie and I met. So then we'd met, spent some time together, and then I was back in Israel until just before Passover. So we were really used to Skype. That was our go-to. So we were early adopters of this social distancing, and like we were ready. But then it just very, very strangely worked out that for me I was actually planning to stay with my sister, and the day that I was flying in to Colorado, that this was right after Purim. I came kind of the first Shabbat that I could, right after Purim, right as kind of the whole world was coming in. That she said, my husband's going to work. My daughter's going to daycare, that you can't stay with us. So then my mom was very, very nice and came and picked me up and brought me to Colorado Springs, and then everything shut down. And I'm just feel so thankful that then Sophie, we met in the Denver community, she was coming an hour, and that could have been from Boulder, it could have been from Fort Collins, and it just happened to be, a long walking distance from kind of where I was stuck. So it worked out for us to really essentially, keep our social distance, but in some ways, in the Orthodox dating world, if you will, but in other ways to kind of quarantine together. So have a lot of Shabbats together, have some of the holidays together, and a lot of the things that we didn't think we'd be able to experience as being so fortunate to be guests at places like you guys, the Wolves, or in Denver. We were able to kind of lead the Passover Seders. We were able to have all these experiences that kind of dating couples almost never get to experience. So I think we were some of the lucky beneficiaries in a strange way of during this time to date.
Wow, beautiful outlook. I love that. And what is it like now? What is it like to plan a wedding with all the uncertainties right now? It's got to be tough.
It's a good reminder that we don't have the control that we think we have in the world. But yeah, sort of like the dating process. There have been some hidden benefits. So thinking about planning a smaller event means spending more time with people that we really care about, and having that special moment between the two of us. But it's definitely a lesson in dealing with uncertainty.
Beautiful.
And it's also, we just feel so fortunate for the people in the community, especially in the Denver community, who've reached out, who've offered potentially hosting in their backyard, or helping to organize things, helping to really kind of fit the pieces together. Given that we're not sure if there can be venues or caterers or what a lot of that looks like. Just amazing to have the community support.
Beautiful. I love it.
So beautiful.
I love it. Yeah. And if you'd like to get married close to where you met, our dining room table, I would even try to get rid of my dandelions in your honor in our backyard. As lovely as it is. Very nice, beautiful.
And conceding on the swing set.
Exactly. Cool. Okay, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And Adam, I know that you touched earlier. You kind of stumbled into yeshiva. You stumbled into Israel. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? That sounds interesting. Can you elaborate?
Sure. And I can share my kind of accepting or receiving of Torah moment too, because it was, I think maybe unlike a lot of other stories where it's this kind of slow process, it was like very acute in some ways. But so I had kind of moved around the country after school. So as I said, I went to school in Utah, worked in Boston for a few years. Not too far from where Sophie went to school, so we were familiar with some of the same places, and then lived in Minnesota for about 7 years. And let's just say I had big change in my life and found myself living in Minnesota. I wasn't really happy with exactly with how everything was going with my life, and thought, I've always wanted to travel, and I think I want to travel for a while and then move from Minnesota and then really come back home. I always wanted to be in Colorado, and it seemed like the right time to do that. And right at this time, they just opened a birthright for 28 to 32-year-olds. So I never got a birthright, and they had this brand new trip. So I decided, if I'm going to do this, now is the time. So it created that catalyst, that jumping off moment. I decided, okay, so this would have been 2 years ago, to quit my job and go on birthright. And then this would have been, June of 2018. Spent the next 6 months, so going to birthright and then traveling throughout Europe for the rest of the year. And birthright was a really fun experience. It was a very, very secular kind of Israeli kind of Jewish experience. I enjoyed it, and really the one thing that stuck with me was this idea of, if you want the Jewish people to continue, you kind of have to play a role in that. And it's like, oh, I want there to be Jews in the future, so I guess I should have a role in that. Then it kind of left my mind, and then I went to the beaches in Greece and the mountains in Norway, and got lost hiking in the Alps, and kind of everything in between for a full 6 months. And after doing enough of that, some by myself, some with friends, I decided maybe it was time to try something different. When can you ever do a silent meditation retreat? When can you just for 10 days shut out the whole world, shut off your phone, and spend an entire 10 days just kind of going deep inside of you? So I thought that would be fun. So October of 2018 in Beaujolais, so in French wine country, I did this 10-day silent meditation retreat. So no eye contact, no, like they cover the mirrors. There's no talking with anyone. Certainly no wine. Didn't make Kiddush that Shabbat. And really, you're basically sitting with your eyes closed all day, contemplating, thinking about, who you are, what you are, and recognizing that you're not your thoughts, your feelings, and your emotions. And so then I got back, and then thought I'd go back to work. So that kind of around Thanksgiving time of 2018, so about 2 years ago. And then I thought, thank God I still have some savings, so I'm not ready to go back to work, so I'm going to go on another trip. So I get my motorcycle license, and I start looking into traveling to India. So I planned the first 6 months of 2019 to be in India. And part of it was the meditation and like the Buddhism side of things. And the other part of it was just more the practical of, there's so many people who are living lives that are so disconnected from really who they are. They're so disconnected from like what's important to them. They're running around with all this craziness going on. I know in the banking world, some of my bosses or some of my clients who were executives of companies were so consumed with things that maybe didn't seem to matter, that I thought maybe I don't go back into finance, but maybe I can play a role in the community of being someone who can talk about purpose, and how to live your life in a better way, and thinking more about like really what community means. So that was the plan. And then I set out this January 17th of 2019. So some of these things certainly stick in your head. And then I was planning to meet a friend that I'd met while traveling in Greece on the way. But then travel plans didn't work out, people who were going to kind of be all over the place. So I had a week where I was planning to be in Greece and then go to India. And now I had kind of a week to kill. So I thought, if I'm going to India and to learn some about, Buddhism and learn about meditation, and I have a week, it was a $90 round trip flight to get from Athens, Greece, to Tel Aviv. So I thought, okay, I owe it to myself to get the Jewish approach to meditation. So I go no expectations, get into Tel Aviv after being there 6 months earlier, kind of going on this whole journey, and this whole exploration, feeling a lot more confident kind of about who I was and what was important to me. And then I go and I get to Sfat. And I hear kind of wild Baal Tshuva story after wild Baal Tshuva story. The first rabbi that I meet, he told me that at 22 years old, he goes to India. He grew up in Los Angeles, and he had secular Israeli parents who raised him there. He didn't feel, he said his parents were Jewish, but I'm not Jewish. So he goes at 22 years old to India. He gets into meditation. He becomes a Buddhist monk. He spends a year learning Sanskrit, kind of shaved head, gold robes, the whole thing. And then one day the guru finds out he's Jewish, and he sends him to Israel, and now he's a black hat wearing rabbi. And that was the very first person that I met. And I hear that over and over and over again. So then when you tell someone like that, oh, what are you doing? I'm just here for a few days. I'm going to India. I'm like, sure you are. Sure you are. But the real moment, so then this is after 4 days of being in Sfat, and I have a flight to leave, I think on Sunday, so this is Thursday. And I go to, there's a little yeshiva there, a little Chabad yeshiva for Baal Tshuva, for people who, kind of really don't know anything from a observance standpoint. And by the way, I had really never heard of Chabad by this point, so I'm 32 years old, never heard of Chabad, hadn't thought about Judaism really for, 15, 20 years, other than, going to Israel and kind of a psycho birthright trip. And I go and he has this Kabbalah 101 class, and he's explaining these spheros, and I'm completely lost. But then the question that was really bothering me was, why are there so many rules? And the way I really phrased the question was, none of it makes sense today. When you look at the world today, there's just no reason. We have science, so why can't you eat pigs? Bacon is good. I think God wants me to be happy. So there's no reason that I shouldn't be eating bacon. How I view the world, what my worldview is, this just doesn't fit. This just doesn't make sense for what I'm trying to create. And the real moment was when the rabbi turns to me and he says, well, are you trying to create God, or did God create you? And this was really the first time in my life that I really thought about that, and how I was kind of going and chasing these different experiences, and had always thought about what do I want, what does this situation need, rather than actually thinking about maybe there is a manual, maybe there are kind of instruction on how to live, and maybe I am a creation of God, and that God has a plan for me, rather than me trying to fit God into that plan. Wow. So then I canceled the flight to India, and the funny thing about it was, I call my mom, I call my best friend growing up, and I'm kind of describing the situation. They're like, that sounds like everything you've been looking for. There's this purpose, there's this depth behind it, there's a sense of community and people coming together and really caring about each other. They're like, everything you've been talking about, that sounds like what you found. So they're almost like, what are you concerned about? Why would you go to India? Wow. So then I ended up going there, and then another yeshiva, and then moved to Jerusalem and spent the last year there. And that moment was really, I can visualize that room, and I think it'll forever stick in my mind of realizing that I am merely one of God's creations.
Wow. It appears like we're stuck. Can you hear us at least? I'm looking at our picture of us.
Yes.
You hear us. Okay.
But you are stuck on the picture.
It's like okay. It's important always be smiling, because you might get stuck and you want it to be.
Yeah, right. I'll just gotta force it.
Okay. Good old internet. Okay. That's beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that. That's super inspiring and amazing. Really amazing. Very nice. And then finally, before we dig into the game, Sophie, did you have any moments, at Brandeis specifically, or throughout your journey, that kind of was a game changer for you that you'd like to describe?
Good question. And I don't have such an exciting story, but similar in in the way that when I was in high school, I was really interested in yoga and finding more meaning in life and sort of searching for purpose. And I also went on Birthright, and that was my second time in Israel, and it was a great experience. And I felt like I was exposed to Israel in a different way, a more Jewish way, when I did the very nice Birthright trip. And when I came back, I was talking with a friend, and I was like, I really just like want to learn more about Judaism, more than I learned growing up. But I was sort of overwhelmed by the Brandeis community because, as you know, there are so many places to learn from. I couldn't really figure out where I fit. And one of my friends had done a program at Neve Yerushalayim, which is a seminary in Har Nof. Sarah, I know you know it. And she said, oh, this is a really cool place you can go to learn more about Judaism. And I was like, cool, okay, I'll like check it out. I didn't really like know what a seminary was, didn't know where Har Nof was. And there was a great program that's no longer running called Perry, which is sort of doing their beginner program. And so I ended up there a year after I did Birthright, loved it, and sort of just kept going and learning more. I ended up going back to Neve, doing an Aish program, studying at Midrash at Rachel. So I didn't have one moment, and I always felt actually like that was a little bit weird. Like some people go to the Kotel and have this moment or hear a quote, and they're like, that's the moment that got them. But I felt like the more I learned, the more that I wasn't sure how I felt or what I believed, but I felt like I wanted to keep learning and learning more and more. And then I got some clarity along the way.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's so interesting. You're right. That everyone, yes, has a different journey, and for some, there's that aha moment, and others, it's just happens over time. And I think that just shows how each one of us is so unique, and you know, our experiences and what we take from them, all of it, it's just unique to every person.
Beautiful. And a plug, shameless plug for Neve. They are reopening in mid-July, and if you're interested, talk to us, and we can help make it happen for you. Beautiful. Thank you so much, guys, for sharing. That's so inspiring, and you guys are amazing. Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's where the friendliness ends, because now we're completed.
We're ready.
We now move to the next and final segment of the show tonight. And thank you guys again for the beautiful words. Really special to have you here for the kind of newlywed game. Week 3, and for once, Sarah and I are going to team up instead of her soundly defeating me, like usual. Hopefully, we will soundly defeat you. Okay, so I'm going to call into the show here. Hey, Ricky, how you doing?
Hi. How's it going?
And Ricky graciously agreed to be the scorekeeper and the asker of the questions. Okay, so to the chassan and kala, to the bride and groom, Sophie and Adam, I'll let you pick who you'd like to go first. We could go first, or you could go first. Doesn't matter. I don't know if it'd be easier to see how it all works if we go first, but whatever you want. You guys are the king and queen, the bride and groom, so it is your decision.
Do you have a preference? Why don't you guys go first? We'll see how it works.
Yeah, we'll kick.
All right, you'll kick. Okay, you go first. Perfect. Okay, beautiful. So the way this will work, this is a slightly new format because we're now competing head to head. Ricky will ask me questions. I'll go first. Sarah will answer what she thinks the correct answer is for me, and then I will divulge the answer. I know the video seems to be off. We're a little behind. Our internet connection is not quite so good. So hopefully this will work out. Okay, but I think we're gonna hear each other, and we'll try to say what's happening when we can. Okay. Yeah. All right, Ricky. Without further ado, take it away.
Sounds good. I feel like I'm hosting like a new version of Family Feud or something. Okay, so first question. What is your favorite Shabbos dish?
My favorite Shabbos dish.
So I guess your favorite.
You guessed mine, correct.
Okay.
By the way, there's a lifeline, so you can poll the audience on Facebook World or phone a friend or whatever you like.
Yours is jalapeno dip.
Jalapeno dip. Okay. Are we frozen? Can anyone hear us?
You're good now, I think.
Okay. Sophie, Adam, are you with us? Okay, this isn't going to work because we're frozen, but at least on Zoom. I'll show and I'll announce it to you who can see. I said Chipotle-style burritos. So we're 0 for 1.
I have a feeling this week's going to be a little bit harder.
0 for 1. Okay, we're 0 for 1. Okay, next question.
Okay.
Next question. What is your favorite Shabbos nigun?
That means favorite Shabbos song. For
okay, I know this one. It's Ka Sof that you sing with Mark.
Oh, Ka Sof, close. She got one word right, so I think that should count for half credit. Karibon. Karibon.
That's a half point.
Sweet, but
okay, no, we're 0 for 2. Sophie, if you guys have us, I think we're in trouble.
Okay, next question.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. What is your go-to karaoke jam? Multiple choice answers are allowed.
Okay, so what are the multiple choice?
Okay. I Want It That Way by Backstreet Boys. Sorry. Lose Yourself by Eminem. Or 1,000 Miles by Vanessa Carlton.
Oh.
Please, by the way, in Facebook world, if you have a guess, Sarah will close her eyes. She won't look, but we're curious if you have a guess as to what it is. It would.
It could easily be 1 or 3.
I Want It That Way, Lose Yourself, or 1,000 Miles. Feel free to post in Facebook. I'm trying to pull up the comments, but it's like frozen, so
okay.
we can't post your comments yet.
Okay. I'm gonna guess 1,000 miles.
Yes, 1,000 miles. 1,000 miles.
Wow.
Yes, Shira helped me peg that I Want It That Way, and Rose did too, and I love that song.
We all know you love that.
It's definitely my favorite song, but it's not my karaoke go-to. The reason is because in the movie White Chicks, Terry Crews, that epic scene was like, making my way downtown, walking fast, faces past. Making my way. I can't fall into the. Okay, sorry.
And I know how much he likes to sing.
So we got 1. Okay.
Yay. All right, 1 point. Yay. Question 4. What is your favorite Jewish holiday?
Your favorite holiday?
Jewish holiday.
Ding.
Oh, yeah.
Purim. We're sorry on Facebook. I think we're frozen like totally, but it does say Purim. That's the sign I'm holding up. Purim. Okay, good.
Okay. Next. This is probably a tough one. What is your favorite dairy Shavuos dish?
Oh, okay. Well, now that I remembered, we're having Bubby's mac and cheese and we're having cheesecake. You do love Bubby's mac and cheese, but we do have it more often than Shavuos, so I'm going to say cheesecake.
Okay, Ricky, you'll have to be the judge. Here's what I wrote. You probably can't see this on Facebook, but Mama's mac and cheese or cheesecake? I guess I cheated, right? You can't
Pick one.
I'll give it to you. The final answer is cheesecake, so that's the second one.
Ricky, help us out.
Okay.
Very
good.
Who is your current favorite singer?
Oh. What's his name? I'm trying to think of his name. He's Israeli.
I can't say.
He's Israeli. What's his name?
You can use a lifeline if you want.
I don't need a lifeline because I know who it is.
But
we watched him 100 times on Facebook Live.
You can phone a son if you want.
Wait. I'm gonna think for a second. Oh gosh. Okay, tell me.
She's using a lifeline, phoning a son.
Ishai Rebo.
That is correct. Well done, Sarah and Avrami. Ishai Rebo. You should all check him out. He speaks to the heart. Beautiful.
So that counts as a point?
Yeah, that counts. You get full credit for you get 1 lifeline, and she just used it.
Okay. Alrighty. Question 7. What is your favorite quarantine pastime?
It's either reading or writing.
Ooh,
Or is there anything else that we do?
I can't say.
No. We go for a walk. I'm gonna guess it is. This is so hard. Oh gosh.
We can impose a time limit.
I need that. Okay. Writing.
Writing. Close, but it is the family walks. That family time trumps
Oh.
all.
Okay.
Family walks. Okay. Didn't get that one. Okay.
Okay. Question 8. Where do you want to live when you grow up?
Israel.
Ding, 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 ding. Israel. Israel.
That was amazing.
And last question, the best for last. Backstreet Boys or NSYNC? I feel like everyone knows this one.
Yeah, everyone knows Backstreet Boys.
Backstreet Boys. If everyone would vote on Facebook as well, I'd appreciate that. Just to confirm what I know, that Backstreet is best. Okay. Thank you, Ricky. Now it's Sarah's turn. How many points did we get?
6.
6. Okay. Not bad.
Should we do half and half?
Half and half.
Ricky,
Well, that's great. Let's now have turn it over to Adam's answers, and Sophie guesses his answers.
Okay.
I'm guessing for you.
Okay.
All right. Sophie and Adam. First question. What is your favorite Shabbos dish?
I'm gonna say that Adam's favorite. I guess I have to wait till you're done writing it. You done?
Mhm.
I'm gonna say the challah. Oh, I'm sorry.
That would have been a better answer than fish.
And fish. Oh no.
Yeah. To be fair, what my mom and I were, she informed me that we talked about this earlier, and I said challah.
I think it's the count.
All right.
Half a point.
Maybe half a point. We'll see at the end. Okay. Question 2. What is your favorite Shabbos song?
I'm gonna guess That's what he said too.
Okay.
I missed that. Did you get it right?
No.
Close. Okay. The third one you got, I have a feeling. Okay. What is your go-to karaoke jam? And this can be multiple choice answer.
Okay, so the choices are Bon Jovi's "Living on a Prayer,"
Okay, relevant.
Michael Jackson's "Thriller," or Zac Brown Band of "Chicken Fried."
This is so bad.
All
I'm
good.
gonna go Bon Jovi.
We are going to get one of these soon.
Oh no, close. Okay. Question 4. I feel it. What is your favorite Jewish holiday? We need that like background elevator music.
Yeah.
Let me turn on some.
So many holidays on my mind. Writing something long.
Okay.
So I'm thinking. Okay, we got engaged on Lag BaOmer, so that's selfishly one option. Or I know that you really like Hanukkah as well as Purim. I'm gonna go with Hanukkah.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, you got one. All right.
We ate some wonderful donuts together in Yerushalayim over Hanukkah.
Yum. That sounds good. Okay. Question 5. What is your favorite dairy Shavuos dish? That's kind of hard to say quickly. Shavuos dish.
You're doing great, Ricky. Flawless. So Adam's still writing, but I'm gonna guess cheesecake.
Can't go wrong with that answer.
I kind of cheated.
Cheesecake.
Cheesecake with or without ice cream.
I found it.
I was lenient with Rabbi's answer, so I like it. I'll take it. Question 6. Who is your current favorite singer?
I have no clue. Okay. Like same as my favorite.
No.
I have no guesses. We've been listening to a great pre-Shabbos playlist. I feel like it's something on the playlist. Oh, I haven't used any phone a friend. Wait, how many more questions are there?
There are 3.
Okay.
Should we poll the audience?
Yeah, can I use my phone a friend for a friend who's here?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
I allow it.
can you give me a hint?
She could tell you.
She's like looking at the answer.
First letter?
Can I do that?
Yeah.
Z.
Something that starts with a Z.
I know.
Oh, phone a friend? Pardon.
Zusha.
Oh, Zusha. Okay, yeah. I don't know why I get that.
Yay. All right. That worked out well. Okay. What is your favorite quarantine pastime?
Okay, sort of a hard one because Adam really likes to go running. Goes for running and biking, basically doing anything outside. But we also have done some great hikes together. So I'm gonna say hiking.
on Shabbos activity.
No, quarantine activity.
Oh, quarantine. Yeah. Right. Quarantine.
But maybe that was
Yeah.
a good hint. So going for walks or hikes. Oh.
Thank you. I kind of want to give it to you because
Getting
it's
engaged. Getting engaged.
that was
I got
cute. A good pastime. I like it. Hopefully it's just once though. Just kidding. Okay. Question 8. Where do you want to live when you grow up?
I like this marker board. We might have to adopt that.
I like it.
Yeah.
Better for the environment.
This is a long answer.
That's a long answer. A lot of words.
Okay, my guess is the Holy Land in Israel. But I know you like Colorado also, but I'm still gonna go with Israel.
Israel, and to get married in front of the Beis Hamikdash.
Amen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Highlighting all of the great things we have to learn about each other.
Last question. You guys made a good comeback. Backstreet Boys or NSYNC?
Ooh.
No, you have to answer. Okay. I'm gonna go with Backstreet Boys.
JT, only for JT. The only real talent to come out of that 10. Yeah, I said it.
JT is the man. He is the man. Beautiful. Okay. Thank you. What's the score, Ricky? Halftime.
At halftime, we have the Wolves leading by 2 points, so you guys can still make a comeback.
Yeah, but Sarah's stronger player. So
we got him right where we want him.
Yep. Okay.
46.
All right, you guys ready? Question 1. Favorite Shabbos dish?
my cholent.
I do love your song.
I know you do. Show him. Show him.
Potatoes.
Ah,
No.
I have potatoes in my cholent.
That's true.
Kind of work. Let's see. All right, next. Favorite Shabbos song?
Ooh. We sing a song Friday night where we kind of pretend like we sleep. But I'm going to say we sometimes sing Am Yisrael Chai. But I'm going to say the one we kind of, I think it's the one that we pretend we sleep on. So what's that called again? Do I have to say it? Am Yisrael Chai. I'm going to Am Yisrael Chai. Go.
Kol Makade.
Kol Makadesh.
Isn't that it?
Yeah. That's my start. Okay, very good. Then Nir asked if this is for only newlyweds. It's a kind of newlywed game, so no, it's for everyone really. Yeah. Okay, go for it.
All right. Question.
Go for it.
Go-to karaoke jam.
Okay, I'm going to need the multiple choice options, please.
Okay. No, I didn't write the answer.
Oh.
Okay, so these are the options. I wrote them out. I Will Survive, Bye Bye Bye, or It's Gonna Be Me.
It's gonna be me. Bye 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 bye. You are not. No, it's for sure. I Will Survive. I'm 100% sure. Final answer.
Yeah.
Okay. You got that one?
Got it.
Woohoo! Okay. Next, favorite Jewish holiday.
Ooh. What? You know? Okay, I'm gonna use a lifeline. Sure. What is it? No. He's allowed to say. I'm using my lifeline. You think it's Shavuos? Shavuos is number Torah. I'm gonna trust you. Asher, I trust you. I was gonna say Sukkot, but I trust you. Shavuos.
I love all the holidays.
The Shabbos.
Pesach.
Okay.
Really?
Good. Very good. Fine. Very nice.
Right. Well, make a comeback here with favorite dairy Shavuos dish.
Favorite dairy Shavuos dish. You don't really like cream cheese, so I don't believe that it is cheesecake.
I can't look at you while we do this.
You like your mama's mac and cheese? Gosh, I have no idea. I'm gonna say something with ice cream. Ice cream. I'm gonna say ice cream.
Oh, I do love ice cream. I wrote down cheesecake.
Yeah, I don't feel like what you think it is.
You can't go wrong with cheesecake. You just can't.
Fine. I'm struggling here. Okay.
All
what
right.
else?
All right, Rabbi, this one, you got this one. Current favorite singer.
Favorite Jewish singer?
Yeah, current favorite singer.
It's got to be Joey Newcomb.
Ding, ding, ding! Yay!
Woo! Got one. Nice. Okay. Favorite quarantine pastime.
It's going to be gardening.
Ding, ding, ding. Oh, first I wrote, what's a pastime? But then I'm like, oh no, there is something. Gardening. That's really why I'm so tired, because we were out in the garden 3 times today.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. I love that. Where do you want to live when you grow up?
Israel.
Ding.
Okay.
3 in a row, Rabbi. You're heating up. Okay. Last question. Backstreet Boys or NSYNC?
I'm going to go with Backstreet Boys.
You serious?
Did not know that. Are you kidding me?
And I said, this is our like something we clash on.
Wow. I did not know that, and I am sad to hear that.
No.
Be honest.
I'll never be the same again.
That's good. Opposites attract. That's good. Okay. Adam and Sophie, are you ready?
Okay. Wait. How?
They have a total of 10 points. They got 4 in that round.
Oh, so we need to get 6 to force a tiebreaker at 7 to win.
You got it. You got it.
Obvious with my likes.
All right. First question. Favorite Shabbos dish?
Said it's obvious? Oh,
I talk about it a lot.
about it a lot.
We haven't had it in a while.
He's stumped.
No.
So I want to give a hint so much. I won't.
Or hints? I think it's but like matzo ball soup without the matzo balls. Like she loves soup, but like no matzo balls.
Remember that from your house.
What do you got?
Yeah, that's correct.
Wow.
Nice.
Yay.
And it works out great because then I eat like 15 matzo balls, and then Sophie is the broth. It's a match made in heaven.
Yeah, that's a good match for sure.
I think they're behind.
Alrighty. Second question. What is your favorite Shabbos song?
I mean, my go-to. I'm not sure if it's a Shabbos song because I was gonna say Havdalah, but I don't know if that because that's that's like halakhically after Shabbos, right?
Yeah, we'll count it for these purposes for sure.
But would she have thought that? I don't know. I'm gonna say that Sophie knows her halacha better than me, so she wouldn't have thought of that. I hope I just didn't do myself old. And say
Really specific.
Ashes Chayil.
I would have expected you to get that one though.
That was a hard one. Okay, multiple choice answer. Go to karaoke jam.
Yeah, I sort of I've never really done karaoke, so I just wrote down artists that I would sing karaoke to, so I apologize. So they're not songs. Okay. So Gaga, ABBA, or T Swift.
I hope all of them. I'm gonna go with ABBA.
Yeah.
Nice.
I didn't write down my right answer. That's the right answer.
Okay, I'll trust you. Nice.
I asked a friend earlier today. I was like, "What would I like love? What would be my favorite karaoke song?" So I have a text proof.
All right. Mamma Mia.
Yeah.
Is that ABBA?
Yeah.
We got it.
Love it. Yay. Okay, you're on a roll. Question 4. What is your favorite Jewish holiday?
No idea. Favorite Jewish holiday. I mean, Sophie laughs sometimes at my like really bad dad jokes. And I know there's kind of a tradition of doing that with like the puns with foods and Rosh Hashanah. So I'm gonna go Rosh Hashanah. Oh, close. I was in the ballpark.
You're in the ballpark, but not quite.
10 days short.
Okay. Question 5. What is your favorite dairy Shavuos dish?
I think it's got to be cheesecake. With all the talk we've had of cheesecake.
With all the talk, yeah, you can't go wrong. Perfect.
How many do we have? I think it's getting close.
You have 3.
3? Okay.
3 points.
What's the total score right now?
Right now it's 10-7.
Okay.
Wait, that means you have to. Okay, the next ones are pretty easy though.
All right.
I think the next ones are easier.
You guys got it. You got it. All right. Current favorite singer.
Schwecky. Done.
That was confident.
I'm pretty vocal about it.
The only one I felt confident about so far.
That's good. You got one at least. That was good. All right. You got the next 3. What is your favorite quarantine pastime?
I mean, she may have telegraphed a pretty big hint by looking at a ring there. So I'm I'm going to say we were thinking along the same lines, and that it was getting engaged. Is that your pastime?
Hiking or getting engaged?
We counted ours like that. So that's fair game.
Did you get engaged like on a hike? Does that count?
On a picnic.
In
Okay.
a park.
I'll
Yeah.
allow it.
There was like a dirt trail that was probably 60 feet. So we'll call that a hike. Call that a hike, yeah.
That sounds like a hike to me. All right, I'll allow it. I like it. Where do you want to live when you grow up?
Gotta be Israel.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, and so now is this Backstreet or NSYNC for the win?
For the win.
Oh no!
Wow.
Oh no!
Pressure's on.
This one, I think you really will have no idea, right?
Can I poll the audience and just go with whatever the audience says?
No,
You haven't used your lifeline yet. You could do it.
that's true. You can.
But like, I don't know if you'll know.
The first person to answer, we'll go with that.
Okay, so Facebook world, returning to you. For the win? Does Sophie prefer ESP or NSYNC? They need you guys. Post away. This is your lifeline.
NSYNC or Backstreet Boys.
Hmm.
I don't see any posts. You might be on your own here.
Okay.
Everyone.
Wait. No, we have.
We got
We
a
have
Backstreet Boys.
You're the Backstreet Boys.
I saved that.
Backstreet
I
Boys.
forgot about that question.
Oh, you won!
Sophie and Adam.
Mazel tov! Wow, what a beautiful couple! Amazing. Beautiful, guys. That was awesome. Thank you so much for coming and defeating us with a fierce rally. Can you hear me? You hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like super frozen. I'm sorry about our connection. Not so good. That was incredible. What a rally, guys! Mazel tov on that. Beautiful. So,
Thank you so much.
thank you, Sophie, so much. Sophie, Brickman, Adam, Oliver, for joining us. Thank you, host Ricky, for just great questions, scorekeeping. You guys are amazing. You defeated us. I'm happy to lose to such amazing people like you. I learned her musical preferences better. And beautiful. Well done. Well done. That was a lot of fun. Amazing. So we have got a drop late. So thank you all for tuning in, everyone for joining us. One shameless plug is that we do have breaking news. We have a live challah bake tomorrow night at 6:15 Mountain Standard Time, and then a Shavuos program with the Jewish Experience, larger program at 7 p.m. featuring Sarah and myself. You should tune in for both of those. Both the challah bake Wednesday night, and again the Shavuos program Thursday night with the Jewish Experience. Finally, we have the hashtag Rabbi Wisdom of the Day, in which I just wanted to drop some wisdom on you, which is gosh, I should have prepared some good wisdom here. The Rabbi Wisdom of the Day is whatever you do, to be all in. Not to multitask, but to be all in every single thing that you do. That is the Rabbi Wisdom of the Day. And you will have a more content and happy life, is something I believe. So that's the hashtag Rabbi Wisdom. We do have, again, the breaking news update of the Jewish Experience program coming. And with that, we end. Thank you all who stuck with us for this lovely last hour and 28 minutes. It's great to have you. And thank you again to the beautiful couple, the Chassan and Kala, the king and queen, Sophie and Adam, for your inspiration and your emphatic victory for us. We're in sync. I will lose sleep over that tonight. That's okay. Mazel tov again. And Ricky, thank you. Thank you all for tuning in. And have a beautiful rest of your evening and a beautiful week and a beautiful Shavuos. Good night, everyone. And stay safe and stay healthy. All right. Thank you guys. Bye-bye. We'll see you later. All the best.
Bye, guys.